What inspired you to start Loraine, and how has the vision for the band evolved since these early days or those early days?
Okay, so the idea started started with, we were always in heavy bands, like heavy post-hardcore and, hardcore bands back in the day that were, super, super heavy. But during the practices for those bands, for me anyways, the practice, they always devolved into just playing random pretty shit. It was jamming, but it wasn't like your jam band kind of jammy. It was this. It was post-rock, just kind of on the whim. And I didn't listen to this kind of stuff at all before this. And so then I went to Bonnaroo, which is a whole story in itself. So I went with this girl and it did not work out. So I was just kind of on my own. Mm-hmm. And I stumbled into the tent where Explosions in the Sky were playing. And I'd never listened to them before, but I, was watching them play, and everyone around me was just mesmerized by it. And it was right then that I realized that, oh, that's just what I play, in these little jam sessions at practice. But they're actually just doing that as the actual music, and it works. So why not just do that? Because at this point, Erica joined the band that I was in, and we were kind of tired of it. Music wasn't very good, and it was fun, but it wasn't quality music by any means. And so I saw that, and it was oh, you can actually just do that, and that's the music that you're playing. You don't need vocals. You can just play the music that you naturally play. And then, I went home and started trying to write this stuff. So there's one song on the album, actually, that was literally from one of those practices where we came up with something and we liked it so much that we recorded it. And it just sat there for years because we were in a heavy band. So what were we gonna do with this 5-minute instrumental song? And it's redone 5 times now, but it's actually on the album. So.
That's awesome. Where did the name Loraine come from? We're flying off the cuff real quick.
It is Marty McFly's mom's name from Back to the Future. Yeah. Cool. That was just it was like a Wikipedia dive one night. I was just kind of clicking random shit in Wikipedia, and wherever it took me is where it took me. Okay. And I landed on that, and I was like, oh, that's a really pretty name.
Cool.
And now that's the band name.
How do you approach this with pedals, and where do we fit in?
For me, I think of it in the whole arrangement perspective, right? So with us, there's always we have 3 guitars, so each part is kind of picking up a particular octave, basically, where each one is taking up a specific frequency range, and we try to have everyone be in a different one, right? And things like the Bomber allows me to be go from a clean tone to somewhere between my clean tone and the super heavy tone without losing the octave range that I'm supposed to be, because it's transparent enough that I don't lose my low end. So if I'm playing a lower part, I can still pick on the overdrive and I don't lose my low end, which is where I'm supposed to be, right?
And where do you fit in the spectrum?
Sorry, was this about pedals in general or specifically this pedal?
It could be any of them. Just as far as so if his is so if he lives in the low end, what part of the spectrum do you live in?
It changes from song to song.
We all trade back and forth.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, keep things interesting. But for me, I've always been super minimalist with pedals. So whatever pedals allow me to use as little pedals as possible is ideal. And the Bomber definitely takes the role for me of a overdrive pedal and basically a tube screamer is how I think of it. It's like a middle, like he said, like a middle between, you know, my amp B channel and just a clean tone.
Cool. We're talking about, the question is more like when crafting a set or recording a track, how important is it for each pedal to serve a specific emotional or atmospheric role? You kind of already answered that. Pertains to the Bomber.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much about the pedal; it's about like where the part itself needs to sit
in the mix.
And the pedal helps you achieve that, or it doesn't, right? Like, you know, sometimes you try something and it doesn't work too. And, yeah.
And another thing I'll say about it is what it does great is there's a lot of parts in our music where I feel like certain parts get lost in the mix because, like you said, there's 3 guitars like competing in different frequency ranges, but like those parts, the Bomber really helps bring it back to life where you can still hear it
like
when it would typically get drowned out.
Yeah. For me, like I'm using a totally clean amp. His amp he has 2 channels. He has a clean channel and a distorted channel, but even his clean channel has more gain than my amp does. And I use pedals to kind of stack gain and kind of build the sections up with different pedals. I have like my always on boosts. I have, you know, I have different things that are always on to kind of lift it up. But the Bomber for me, I have it just dying. And it's kind of like a overdrive without going to my just like nasty, super nasty channel.
Yeah.
Whereas with him, like he's using it on his clean channel to just kind of boost it up a little bit, and it works for both.
It is pretty interesting. I'm more akin to you. The more I have to fiddle around with my foot, the more upset I get. Because it's like, not only do I have to remember the guitar parts, I have to remember the toe dance.
It sucks.
Yep.
So.
But yeah, it can literally be a clean boost, overdrive, distortion even, really.
Yeah. I'm basically using it as a distortion.
Yeah. Do you feel like your sound has shifted since having? I remember you saying it did something that the other one didn't do.
Yeah. No, for me, it definitely has changed because what I was using before, it had a lot more options, but I was never really satisfied with the tone that I was getting for each thing. I could dial like each thing in individually for each part, but I wasn't 100% happy with everyone, like each part, how it sounded. And now it's like I have one setting and it does all of it.
The only thing I want is MIDI, but I guess this is okay because this replaced all these sections.
That's the thing. It doesn't really need it. It's like because I'm essentially now thinking of it as just like my like 3rd channel, right? I have my like the pedal that does my high gain, and I have my no gain, which is still I have a boost and a blues driver, and then I have my 3rd channel, which is now the Bomber, which is kind of between the two. And now I'm just thinking of it like that, and I have a setting dialed in that I don't have to change it. I don't touch it during the set at all.
That's super cool.